This week's episode of Timeless Lessons sponsored for an incredible organization, dailygiving.org. Dailygiving.org is an organization in which we get to sign up and give $1 a day. That's all they ask for, $1 a day. And they bring in organizations from all over the world, vet them through a very specific process. And then by everybody giving $1 a day, it actually ends up donating millions of dollars to organizations. It's an incredible way to give charity. I do it. I'm a member. I love knowing that every day, at least I'm giving at least $1. I try to give more, but at least wherever I am in the world, whatever day it is, they're giving it to me. Check out their website, dailygiving.org. You'll love it. Sign up. It'll make you feel amazing. It's $1 a day. And when you collect it with other things, other people, it can change the world. We are right now entering into a new month. The month of Av is ending, and we're going into the next Jewish month called Elul. Elul is a month that is really the end of the year, but the rabbis teach us that it's really not the end of the year. It's really the beginning. It is the precursor. It's the prerequisite. It's the preparation for the first month, for Tishrei, which is the month of the high holidays. And the question that I've heard asked is, why does the first month need a prep month? What other holidays get a prep month? Passover doesn't get a prep month. Like, if you look at every holiday that we don't have the month before getting us ready. So why do we need a full month to prepare ourselves for the high holidays? So I want to share with you a conversation I had with a friend of mine recently. So I've got a colleague of mine who was struggling with his oldest son. This guy travels for work, and he's always on an airplane. And his oldest son is basically him. I mean, I could tell it to you, right? But it's him as a kid, right? No rules, does whatever he wants. And his mom just can't contain him. So he butts heads with his mom. He does what he wants to do at 17. And when his father shows up, like, it's really not, it's developed into a little bit of a contentious relationship. So at one point he called me if I can talk to his son. I spoke to his son. It wasn't looking good. At 17, he would have been fine in a couple of years. But I see him recently, and we're talking about getting back to work, and when is he traveling again? This guy was on an airplane all the time. I knew him because we used to travel sometimes together. He was a diamond medallion for Delta, whoever flies Delta. He says, I'm nervous to get back on in the air. I'm like, really? I'm like, you used to love traveling. He said, yeah, I tell you, this has been an incredible experience. I absolutely love quarantine. I'm like, really? You love quarantine? I said, how come you love quarantine so much for? He goes, I got to tell you. He goes, when March hit, they basically grounded everything. And that month, I'll never forget, like the first week I move everything to my home office. I go right on Zoom. We keep on doing our job. And my son, looks in. He's upset that I'm home. It's not so simple. Then we have dinner. I said something funny. He left. That had happened like 3 years. I was done with the call. I saw him outside, in the front yard shooting hoops. I went outside and I started shooting with him. Like, that's where he gets his shot from. He gets it from me. I'm still pretty okay. And throughout the weeks and months that we've been here, March, April, I started spending a lot of regular time with him. Just the backyard, the pool, the court, whatever he had. And my son started realizing that I'm a pretty good guy. And even for a 17-year-old, I'm a good guy. And he softened. And I softened. And he's my best friend. My best friend. I don't want to leave. I don't want to go back. I want it to be this way. Why in the world do we have Elul for? Why do we need a prep month for Rosh Hashanah? And the answer is because Rosh Hashanah, really, well, the Judgment Day and the whole thing, let's just break it down to what it is. At the core, what Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur is? It's a time where God's presence is in the world more. God is spiritual. Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur is when the Spirituality is cranked up. God is more connected. He's more available. We celebrate him more. We connect to him, and we spend more time with him during the high holiday period because he's here. We're in quarantine together. And when you get into quarantine with someone that you don't really know, if God is just the father that gets in our way of our lives, and I have to go to synagogue more, and I got to say these prayers, and like, it just gets in the way of my life, it's a difficult time. But when we spend a month getting to know God, we spend the time learning about him, reaching out and studying a little more, trying to go forward in our own spirituality, trying to be closer and connected, reading about faith, getting more in touch with our relationship with the creator of humanity, with our dad. What ends up happening is, after a month, when we now walk into a high holiday period, Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur, and he's around more, we start to realize how awesome it is. We start to realize that God's our best friend. He's my dad, and he loves me. Like, what could be better than that? So the rabbis say you don't roll into the high holidays. You prep for a month. And that's our job. That's our goal. To do something, to learn something, to connect to somebody, to strive. The acronym for Elul is Anila Dodi V'Dodi Li. I am for my beloved, and my beloved is for me. Because what they're saying is, reach out and realize that God is your beloved, and you're going to realize that the high holiday is going to be the best time of the year.